Dr. Johnson, I'd like to start by asking you to please explain the nature and the extent of image-based sexual abuse in the UK.
Yeah, sure. So I, as part of my research expertise, I have worked with colleagues, including Professors Claire McGlynn and Erica Rackley in the UK and Nicola Henry in Australia, looking at image-based sexual abuse. And so for those of you that don't know this term, it's an umbrella term that's been pioneered by Claire McGlynn and Erica Rackley and colleagues, to try and capture the range of abusive practices that have come to the fore with developments in technology that particularly relate to the use of images to be sexually abusive. So the media might refer to some of these behaviours as revenge porn or upskirting, but more broadly this term speaks to the taking and sharing of intimate and sexual images without consent and threats to do so. So as part of this work, we've looked at across different jurisdictions, Australia, New Zealand and the UK, to try and understand the extent and nature of image-based sexual abuse in contemporary society. And our research in the UK context has found, and across all contexts, has found that image-based sexual abuse is alarmingly commonplace, and recent figures are pointing to the fact that it's been on the rise with the pandemic and the increasing use in digital technologies. Our research has also found, in terms of the extent and nature, that image-based sexual abuse is a really serious and pernicious form of abuse that can cause significant and devastating harms to victim survivors. So in and of itself, it's a really serious violation of sexual autonomy and privacy, but victim survivors also reflected on how the devastating nature that this abuse can cause for some. So they talked about it in terms of being this huge social rupture in their lives, distinguishing between before and after. It really changed their sense of self and idea of being in the world. Also, it's important to think about the pervasiveness of technology and the way in which it plays such a key role in our lives. So for images that have been uploaded online, they remain out there, and there's this concern of there being the abuse constantly being out there and available, or to re-emerge, or more people to see these images. So victim survivors really spoke about this abuse as an ongoing and constant harm, and leading to severe isolation, withdrawing from family and friends because of the shame connected to this abuse, particularly for women because of the sexual double standards to which we're subject, but also withdrawing from other forms of public interaction and civic interaction, for example, participation in online settings and with social media. And of course having profound impacts to their physical and mental health as well.
You've already touched upon this, but I wonder if you could just finish by elaborating on the main barriers that women face in reporting domestic abuse of all kinds to the police, and also what recommendations you'd have to improve a victim's ability to report, particularly in anticipation of the expected surge in domestic violence reports as we ease out of the COVID-19 lockdown in this country.
Sure, yeah. So just today in the newspapers, I've seen that now less than 25% of reported crimes of domestic abuse to the police have resulted in a charge over the past a year or so, and that's not even resulted in a successful prosecution. So we know there's been a really significant drop in conviction rates and charge rates, and I think that's indicative of there being a serious problem, a serious justice gap for women reporting domestic abuse to the police today. I think key barriers that I've identified in my research with colleagues have been around inadequate police training and understanding about domestic abuse, in terms of its gendered nature, in terms of not focusing solely on physical violence to understand the harm and risk that women are placed in, and this of course speaks to broader research that is echoed, looking at police understandings and recognition of violence against women more broadly. But for those women that are able to engage with an investigation, we know that investigations and the court process can take far too long and be a re-traumatizing process. And ultimately, we need to be moving to a place where victims will be supported through this process and not diminished by it. And there's a concern that the criminal justice response to violence against women and girls currently is just not fit for purpose. Beyond lack of police understanding, we've also seen examples in my research around, the minimization and normalization of abuse, particularly when it relates to like gendered behaviours and assumptions relating to intimate partnerships. We've also seen in research the inappropriate use of out-of-court resolutions to respond to aspects of domestic abuse. So, for example, instead of taking an investigation forward, responding to it informally through community resolutions, offering remedies such as words of advice or making referrals, medical referrals. And while these elements might be positive action, we just need to make sure that the criminal justice service, the criminal justice system is also providing avenues for justice for victim survivors, because the current rates and research is indicating that there are serious limitations.
Thank you so much.